Good afternoon. This is Cindy Stevens with the Caboose Restoration and Maintenance Fund. I'm the president, and we're just going to take a quick little tour of the cabooses so you can come and visit and see it in person. So here we go. We're going to go this way. As you come into the front door, we actually have a train that goes, and it's kind of a display of little businesses, not any of ours, but it does give you the little idea of being in a community.
And that's not just an HO gauge, that's an O gauge.
Right. And the fun part here is we have 15-cent hamburgers from McDonald's. And I had a little person tell me the other day, the funny part is they said, that looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. So I think that was before Ronald McDonald.
That's a bit early.
So we have a little bit of history. We talk about that. And then on this side of the home, we have glass cases that have some really nice artifacts from the family members here in Ross County. And so we have all kinds of things in here. It talks about the paper. It talks about the books that they use to keep the information. And if we have china in here when they would use it on the passenger trains. We have beautiful china actually, and we have pictures of everything. We have all kinds of engines, and one of the largest things we have is a bell that's over here. And if you can imagine how big the engine was that this bell was on.
They are huge when you get up close.
Yes, and that was donated by Carl and Rosemary Daughters to our caboose. And the kids just don't understand that. They go, oh my heavens, it's huge. And I said, it really is. And so we're lucky to have that piece here. Then we also have we have a teletype in here that shows you kind of how they would send Morse code. And so we kind of keep that unplugged so that we can keep the battery working. But we have different lanterns, we have different pieces of equipment. I know one of the things that I think is real interesting is this hoop thing. I don't have a proper name for it, but I can tell you that they would send a message to the train by way of signal. And then when they would come to a depot, they would hang that out and they would grab a note off of there.
The man would hold his arm out.
He would hold his arm out and grab that, so they would have a message. And so that was very, very interesting. And then whenever in the caboose, one of the things that they would do, they would sit up in the top of the caboose. And they would have different colored lanterns that they would use, these different shades, and they could signal the front of the train. If there was doing something that it wasn't supposed to be doing or whatever, they could send a signal. They would either have a red one, they had a clear one, and they also had like a amber. And so this meant different things to the engineer at the front of the train. Then also they had in the other caboose, which we can walk over to, they could actually stop the train if they needed to, because they also had an air brake back there. If they thought it was something that was really important, they could stop that train. The other things that we have here is too, we actually have a blueprint of the yards that were here located on the other side of the overpass here in Chillicothe. And as you can see, we had a lot of rail lanes that come through here. This is where the depot was, and Main Street is up here. And so you would see all these lines, and then we had a roundhouse that would help take care of the engines or the cars or cabooses. And then on this photograph, this actually, when you come in and see us, it has the numbers so you can actually see where these things are.
You told me about that the other day at the commissioner's office.
And it makes it really nice because here's where the depot was, and then you would get picked up here, And then this is where all of the work would go on. And it employed a little over 1,100 people whenever it was very, very active. And took care of cars from all over the country. They would come here and be fixed. So it was pretty nifty to know that we had that many people working here. So it was probably one of the largest employers in Ross County at the time when it was at full throttle there.
So before we head out, this is it 1973?
This caboose is 1975.
75. And it's a steel caboose. It doesn't have the cupola, it has the bay windows.
Correct.
So we'll be heading back to an older, more traditional version.
Yeah, 1927.
All right.
Hi guys, we're over here in the 1927 caboose, and it's almost original, actually very close to original. Whenever we had gentlemen that really worked in the cabooses, they only made 400 of these cabooses, and today there's probably less than 50 in existence. But we were very fortunate that ours has been maintained very nicely on the inside. Our biggest issue is on the outside. But as you look through here, you'll see that they had beds for them to rest on.
This was a home away from home.
This was a home away from home. And then up here is the cupola, and that's where they would sit. And you could see up through the windows, and that would look down through the train. So that if they were going one way or the other, they could sit on either side and see down the front of the train.
And look for
and
trouble.
look for any problems or anything. And then if they felt that there was a huge problem, they could actually hit the air brakes up here. And that would slow down the train. But they also had a place for eating in here. And they had a little wood stove that would keep them warm during the winter.
And they would cook on?
And they would cook on there and have a little place to eat their meals. So this was home away from home. And as you see, we have kind of things set up here, but this was how they took care of the railroad guys when they were out on the road.
And there's the toilet.
Yeah. Well,
Or is that
let's
a
see. Now I
spittoon?
think that's a spittoon.
Yeah.
I don't know. The toilet, I imagine, was just a bucket.
Yep. And this was rescued from, well, the side had been cut out so it could be an announcer stand.
Yes. This one side was down. They were down at the Douglas Avenue Baseball Park, and they had one side of it had opened up, and they had used it as an announcer stand.
So it needed some pretty drastic restoration.
So the interior was completed actually by my father-in-law, John Stevens. He did off of the blueprints that they had available, and he redid all of this, and it is in pristine condition.
Except for the roof.
Except for the roof and the exterior walls. You can kind of see where our windows, that we have some peeling of the paint and peeling of the wood. And so it's really important that we get this taken care of, because we don't want to ruin what's inside here. So it's we're working really hard to get the community to come out and say, hey, let's help save these trains, or the caboose anyway. And I think that most people don't realize that we're open. We're open Tuesday through Friday, or Saturday till 10 till 4, Sunday from noon to 4. And if someone's not here, we are all volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers, but sometimes you just can't be here. But we hope to be able to be here anytime that you would like to come. If you're interested in helping with us, just stop in. We'll be happy to help you and get you started on your railroad excitement.
So how can people learn more or get a hold of you?
Okay, they can call me, Cindy Stevens, 740-701-1214, and just tell me that you're calling about the train. My real job is a realtor, but my passion right now is trying to get these trains fixed so that we will have history for the B&O Railroad here in Ross County.
All right,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.